Elves have been one of the most powerful tribe in Magic for a long time, but in Modern, this deck has never really came to fruition. But with many additions from Modern Horizons 3, Elves might finally be playable in Modern. Some of these big additions are Wirewood Symbiote, Priest of Titania, Eldamri Corvicald, and a sweet flip land in Disciple of Freyles. And while you might be wondering why Wirewood Symbiote is in this deck and it's an insect, it's because this is the best addition of all of these cards. And all it is a 1-mana 1/1 that returns an elf and untaps a creature you control, and you can only activate it once per turn. But this has absurd amount of synergy in the deck with cards like Elvish Visionary, Dwindon's Elite, and mana producing elves, and all of that alongside being able to protect your elves from removal is absolutely absurd. So we're going to be taking this sweet elves list through a League of Modern to see if elves is finally playable in Modern. Just a friendly reminder before the first match starts to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the draw, and starting hand is a little 2-land light, so we get them all. And our 6 looks much stronger here. We'll keep it, putting back a Nettle Sentinel. It goes turn 1 Grove into an Ancient Stirrings, finding a Soaring Microspawn. Ooh, Wirewood Symbiote's a great draw. We'll play out our Pendlehaven into a Landware Elves. Plays out an Eldrazi Temple into a Talisman of Impulse. Heritage Druid is a fantastic draw. We will play out our land, fetch shock, play out Heritage Druid, play out our Nettle Sentinel, tap our elves, playing out a Priest of Titania into a Wirewood Symbiote, and then pass to our opponent. Who has a Grove into their Microspawn, picking up a land. We draw a land, we will cast out our Disciple of Freyles here, and tap our Nettle Sentinel. We will sack our Nettle Sentinel, drawing 3. We pick up another Sentinel and an Elvish Mystic, play out our Sentinel, play out an Elvish Mystic, tap our elves for green mana, use our Wirewood Symbiote, untap our Priest of Titania, picking up our Disciple of Freyles, make some more mana with our Priest of Titania, cast out our Disciple of Freyles, then we'll sack our Nettle Sentinel, drawing 2. I need a Visionary and a Dwindon's Elite. So we'll play out our Dwindon's Elite, tap our 3 elves, make 3 mana, play out a Visionary, and then cast out a Priest of Titania, playing out our Foothills, passing to the opponent, and go from the opponent. Drop a Windswept Heap, we will fetch, pick up a Forest, put some mana off our Priest, use Wirewood Symbiote, untapping Priest, picking up our Disciple, play out our Disciple, the trigger on the stack, we'll tap some elves for some mana, then sack our Dwindon's Elite, drawing 2, play out our Leaf Crown Visionary, then cast our Nettle Sentinel, gain a mana, drawing a card, find another land, not great. We'll play out our Heath and pass to the opponent, and opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out Dwindon's Elite, Nettle Sentinel, and Eldamri for Phyrexian Revoker, a Collector Oof, and a Magus of the Moon. Game 2, starting hand looks fine. Then it goes turn 1 Forest into an Ancient Stirrings. Top deck another land, we will play out a Heath, fetch Forest, and go turn 1 Mystic. They play out their Labyrinth, which they got off of Ancient Stirrings, exiling in all its dust. Another land for us, go land, fetch, play out a Mystic into a Priest of Titania. Eldrazi Temple pass from the opponent. We top deck a Symbiote, great draw, play that out. Play our land, fetch out a Forest. We will cast out our Priest of Titania, tap our current Priest, and cast out a Chord of Calling. And we chord for 3, we will pick up our Magus, put a mana off of Mystic, then untap our Priest with Symbiote, picking up our Mystic, play out our Mystic, tap our Priest for 4 mana, play out Eldamri. And we see another Eldamri on top, so we just pass the opponent, attacking in for 1. I go from the opponent, top card is a Visionary, which we will cast. We draw into a Disciple of Freyles. We will cast out those Landware Elves. Tap a Priest for some mana, casting out a Disciple of Freyles. We will sacrifice Eldamri, drawing 3. Play out our Sentinel. Tap Priest for Eldamri. And another Eldamri on top. So we will untap our Priest, picking up our Disciple, and cast out our Disciple. In response, the trigger floats some mana off of our Priest. Then we will sack our Eldamri, drawing a few cards. There's a Chord. We will play out another Eldamri, cast out a Heritage Druid, and at this point we are going to be popping off. So I'm going to fast forward through this and show you all the combo. The opponent ends up scooping it up after we cast out our Azuri, so we will get on to the next match. We're on the draw, and starting hand has no land, so we get them all. Yeah, and our 6 looks perfectly fine. We will keep and put back an Elvish Mystic. Then it goes turn 1 Plains into a Guide of Souls. Top deck an Elvish Mystic, we'll go Forest into a Mystic. Then it goes Blood Crypt into a Orcish Bowmasters, taking out our Mystic, and they attack in for 1. Top deck a Querying Ranger, we'll play out our Foothills fetch, and play out a War Master. Then it goes land into a Static Prison, into an Amped Raptor, playing out another Guide of Souls, and they pay 6 energy, putting 2/1 counters on 2 creatures. Top deck a Mystic, we'll play that out into a Querying Ranger, untap our Mystic, pick up a land, play out land, play Heritage Druid, tap our Elves for a Landware Elves, and pass the opponent. Opponent plays out a Nightmare, and then they fire off a Galvanic Discharge on our Landware Elves, and yep, at this point we're too far behind. They're going to have lethal, so we'll scoop it up and get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 2 Dwindon's Elite for 2 Sun Cleanser. Game 2, starting hand looks great. Lead on turn 1 Forest into an Elvish Mystic. Then it goes turn 1 Blood Crypt into a Galvanic Discharge, taking out our Elf. Top deck another Chord, we'll play out our Sentinel into Windswept Heath. One plays out an Arena of Glory into an Amped Raptor, finding an Johnny, casting that out. We top deck a Priest of Titania, we'll play out our land, fetch out a forest, and then play out our Undomry. When it goes to combat, taxing with the team, no blocks. And then they fire off a Stomp, taking out our Nettle Sentinel. Top card is an Elf, we'll play that. See a land on top, play out our Heritage Druid. Then we'll tap 3 Elves for Priest of Titania, and pass the opponent. I'll cast out a Bowmasters, taking out a Priest, and a Taxon for 5. Top card's an Elf, play that. And a Symbiote, which we will also play. We see a Pendlehaven, we will fetch that away. And another land on top, and we're just going to hold up our board here. When it attacks in, we will block with our Eldamri. They flash in a Bowmasters here, trying to shoot our Eldamri, so in response, we will Cord. And we'll pick up a Leaf Crown Visionary, giving our team +1/+1. Draw an Eldamri, top card's a Widewood Symbiote, play that. See another Mystic on top, play that. And we will not draw. See a Cord on top, but we'll just pass the opponent. Land for the opponent, playing out a Guide of Souls. And they play out a Bowmasters, and they shoot us for 1. And then they attack in with their Orc, so in response, we will cast out our Cord, pick up our Sun Cleanser, and remove all counters from the opponent, and make it so they can't get any more energy. And then we will block the Orc with our Eldamri. Draw Quirion Ranger, top card's a Priest, play that. And we cannot draw, sadly. I wish we could. And we will play out our Quirion Ranger, and pass to the opponent. We're gonna play out a Guide of Souls into a Damping Sphere. Draw land, top card is another land we'll fetch. Seen a Zuri on top, that is a huge draw. Decline to draw. That should be lethal. Yep, they scoop it up, and we will get on to game 3. Game 3, starting hand is a little slow, but I think it's a keep. We're gonna go turn 1 fetch Shock into a Guide of Souls. We draw a Pendlehaven, we'll go Forest into an Nettle Sentinel. We're gonna place an Arena of Glory into a Galvanic Discharge, taking out our Sentinel, and they poke in for 1. Quarter Calling, not bad. Pendlehaven into a War Master. We're gonna place out an Aether Hub into a Drannith Magistrate, and attacks in with their Guide of Souls. I guess we'll block. I don't know how this goes badly, but we'll see. Wow, it doesn't go badly somehow. So we will play out a Quirion Ranger, getting a 1/1 off of our Elf, and shocking our Temple Guard, playing out an Landmore Elves. And then we're just going to Cord now, getting a Sun Cleanser, and we will remove all counters from them. And opponent scoops it up. We're 2-0. Let's get on to the next match. We're on the play, and starting hand is a little weak, but fine. We'll lead on turn 1 Force into a Heritage Druid. We'll go to turn 1 Stomping Ground, Unholy Heat, killing our Heritage Druid. We top deck a Priest of Titania, good draw. We'll play that out. It fires off a Bolt, taking out our Priest into Wood Foothills. Find a War Master, we will play out a Foothills, fetching Forest, play out our War Master into a Heritage Druid, getting an Elf, and then tapping our Elves for 3 mana, playing out a Visionary, picking up a Pendlehaven, and in step they Surveil, bending an Arid Mesa. One plays out a Shifting Woodland into a Malevolent Rumble, and they pick up a Renin 6 milling over some stuff here. We'll play out our Mystic, another 1/1, go to combat, attacking with the team, and then play out our Pendlehaven. When it plays out a Mountain into a Grinding Station, into an Underworld Breach, casting out a Mox Amber, milling a card. Then they play out a Mox Amber from the yard, sack it, milling. All right, it looks like they're going to do this a few times. An opponent ends up doing this so many times, they're down to 12 cards and finally find a Ragavan, which means the Mox Amber will be starting to make some mana. Yep, an opponent ends up milling their entire deck, finally getting a Grape Shot into the yard, and the Storm is exactly 18, which means they have just enough to kill us. That's so funny. So let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 2 Twins Elite and an Eldamri for 2 Soul Jailer and a Boromir. Game 2 starting hand doesn't have any hate, but definitely a quick one, so we'll keep. Lead on turn 1 Forest into a Mystic. Top deck a Nettle Sentinel, so we will play out our Quirion Ranger into a Landwar Elves. Instead, they Surveil a Malevolent Rumble into the yard, and then play out a Pyroclasm. Oh no. Wow, that was really good. Guess we'll fetch out a Forest and play out our 2 1-drops. And they have another one into a land. Oh no. Into a Ragavan. This is so unfortunate. Bolton our land and play out our Azuri. One plays out a Malevolent Rumble, picking up an Underworld Breach. They Unholy Heat our Azuri and attack in. And then they cast out DRC. We top deck a Wirewood Symbiote. We're too far behind. Sadly, we finally ran into some removal spells, so we will scoop it up and get on to the next match. We are on the draw, and starting hand looks fine. Opponent goes turn 1 Flooded Strand. We will shock in our Stomping Ground and play turn 1 Elf. In step, they Surveil, and then they fire off a Discharge, taking out our Elf. We will bolt in our land and play out our 2 1-drops. And in step, they cast out a Tune the Narrative. Opponent plays out another Surveillam, bending a Force Negation. Top deck an Eldamri. We will play out our Leaf Crown Visionary, and they cast on their Tune the Narrative in response. Then we will go to combat and attack in for 4. And they discharge our Symbiote. Tap land for the opponent. We top deck a land. We will fetch, then play out an Eldamri, then go to combat, tag in for 4. Yep, an opponent has a Verdict here. They play out a land. We top deck a Quirion Ranger. We'll play out our Azuri. And in step, they Surveil. We'll cast out a One Ring. Taps it, drawing a card. Force for us. We'll play that. Play out our Quirion Ranger and pass the opponent. Opponent draws 2 with the One Ring. And they play out a Mont Exponential Hinge passing, and then they go to Galvanic Discharge our Azuri. So in response, we will chord, which does meet a counterspell. I'll pick another chord, so we'll cast one of them out now, which meets another counterspell. So we will untap our Quirion Ranger, pick up a land, and go to combat, attack in for 1. Okay, I misclicked somehow, and then we'll play out our Forest. So it draws 3 off the One Ring. Someone plays out a Manamu. We top deck a Dwind's Lead. We'll play that, which meets a Subtlety. We will put that to the bottom and pass the opponent. And on our end step, they draw another 4 with the One Ring. Then cast a Discharge on our Quirion Ranger. So we will cast out our chord for 1, picking up a Wirewood Symbiote, then untap their Subtlety, picking up a Quirion Ranger. Opponent draws up to 14 cards in hand. Yep, they play out another One Ring, and they attack in for 3. We pick up a land, we'll play that out, and play out our Quirion Ranger, and they cast another Subtlety here. And at this point, we're too far behind. We will scoop it up and get on to the sideboarding. We're going to bring in Thrun, Magus, and a Phyrexian Revoker for Azuri and 2 Dwind's Leads. Game 2 starting hand looks fine. We'll lead on turn 1 Forest into Nettle Sentinel. Turn goes turn 1 Island. We will go to combat, attack in for 2. Then we'll play out Forest, play out our Land Elves into a Heritage Druid, tap our Elves, and play out our Priest. And in step, they cast Attune the Narrative. Opponent shocks to the team with passing. We top deck another land. We will go to combat, attack in with the team, and just pass, trying to play around a counterspell here. Cast another Attune the Narrative. Opponent plays out Plains into a Flage, taking out our Priest of Titania. Top deck a Land Elves, play that, tapping our Sentinel, play out Windswept Heath, fetch, and play out our Azuri. And we'll attack in for 3. Land go from the opponent. We top deck Heritage Druid. So we're gonna tap 3 Elves and try and give our stuff overrun. Go to combat, attack in with the team. Wow, and we steal that game. So let's get on to game 3. Game 3, I accidentally muted my mic and I did not get it, but the game was super long and we almost got there, but we ended up getting Supreme Verdict at the last second, so we end up losing this game and match. So let's get on to the next one. Here on the draw, and starting hand looks fine. Turn 1 Surveil land for the opponent. We draw another Elf. We'll go turn 1 Fetch into a Land Elves. Tap land for the opponent. We top deck a Heritage Druid. We'll play out another Land Elves into a Wirewood Symbiote. Mystic Gate go for the opponent. We top deck an Azuri. We'll play out our Heritage Druid, and they pitch cast a Subtlety, putting this on top of our deck, which is fine. Then we'll play out a Sentinel into another Symbiote. One plays out a land into a One Ring. We draw out our Heritage Druid. We'll play that out. Make 3 mana. Play out our Azuri, untapping our Sentinel. Then we'll play out our Eldamri, seeing a War Master. So untap a Land Elves, picking up a Land Elves. Make 3 mana. Play out our War Master into Land Elves. Opponent draws 2 off the One Ring. Then they Galvanic Discharge our Azuri. So we'll float some mana off of our Elves, put Regeneration on our Eldamri, our War Master, and our Heritage Druid. Then untap our Land Elves, picking up our Azuri. And then opponent plays out Teferi, bouncing our War Master. Draw land, see a Leafcrown Visionary on top. We'll play out our War Master, which they do Spell Snare. Play out our Visionary. Play out a Land Elves. We'll not draw. Then we will play out our Elvish Mystic. Ooh, that is a good one. We will definitely pick up our Quarter Calling. Tap our Elves, make 3 more mana. Play out a Quirion Ranger. Play out our Elvish Visionary off the top. Another Leafcrown Visionary on top. Mix mana, Visionary. All this Chord. Play out a Mystic. Some Anyas. Chord for 1. Picking up another Nettle Sentinel. Add another Visionary, draw a card, tap our Sentinels, and we will chord again, picking up another Nettle Sentinel, tap our Sentinels, make 3 mana, play out a Sentinel. Now this should be infinite mana, just about. Make some more mana, play out Heritage Druid, draw till there's a creature on top, and we'll just repeat this process and be back in just a second. After all that, we finally resolved an Azuri to pump our team a few times, and we will go in for what assumes to be lethal, we'll hope. Yep, and we take the opponent down, we'll get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 2 Dwind's Lead, Elvish Mystic, and a Priest of Titania for Boromir, Thrun, Phyrexian Revoker, and a Magus of the Moon. Game 2 starting hand has no lands, got them all, and our 6 is much stronger. We'll keep that and put back on Nettle Sentinel. We'll go turn 1 Strand, we top deck a chord, we'll go Forest into an Elvish Mystic. On our end step, they Surveil, keeping it on top. And plays down a Mystic Gate into a Prismatic Ending. Top deck a Stomping Ground, we'll shock that in, and play out our Priest. We'll cast a Tune the Narrative into a Surveil land. Bending a Supreme Verdict. We'll play out our Windswept Heath, pick up our Forest. We'll fetch Shock for a Temple Garden after drawing a Wirewood Symbiote, and then we will play out Azuri. Then opponent plays out land into a One Ring. Find another Priest. We will play out our Visionary. Then cast out a Symbiote into a Priest, and we will draw a card. Find a Sentinel. We'll untap our Priest by picking up our Visionary, and then cast out a Chord for 3. Picking up a Magus of the Moon. Opponent takes 1 off the One Ring, and then draws 2. They play a Mountain Passing. We tap deck an Eldamri. We'll play out our Sentinel. Cast out a Visionary. Our other Priest for and they scoop it up, and we end up going 3-2. Let's go. Overall, I was very happy with this Elves list. We get a lot of new tools. Like Wirewood Symbiote being in this deck now is absolutely absurd. I do really like the new Eldamri as well. This card seems super duper powerful, but I do think there are some things that I would like to change. I don't know, some way to get through like the One Ring. There's something about that I just don't love, and the fact that our deck like needs to draw a bunch of cards to really go off. It feels like against Bowmasters, which is already good against our deck. It seems just a little counterintuitive to me. me. And then as for the sideboard, not super in love with all of these options. Like Sylvan Safekeeper seems a little weird. Yasharn. I understand we are a Court of Calling deck, but I don't think we necessarily need these like weird one-ofs that I don't know. I just don't know what decks we really want them for. But obviously we ended up going positive, so that is great. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.